What's up everyone, PitRocks56 here, and for this new Smash Bros. Ultimate Top 10 video, just for shits and giggles, I just wanted to do something incredibly different this time. I already talked about characters I wanted to see in Smash, regardless on whether or not they could be considered pipe dreams, especially these two. So this time, I want to talk about characters that I feel are more than likely to join Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So for this video, I just want to bring up different characters that I feel may actually have a shot. So without further ado, let's get started with the list, shall we? This is my top 11 most likely characters for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Okay, let's start off the list with one of the most iconic cartoon characters in the world, Mickey Mouse. Aside from Sora, who is a video game character by the way, Mickey would also be a likely Disney character to join Smash. Much like every third-party character that's ever been in the Smash Bros. Franchise before, Mickey has also made multiple appearances on Nintendo platforms, which definitely shows that Mickey already has a good chance of making it in. Mickey would also have a huge variety of moves that'll make him super unique compared to characters like Joker, Terry Bogard, and Byleth. Mickey can not just wield his bug spray that he used in the classic short Mickey's Garden, but also perform some powerful magic tricks much like in Fantasia and Epic Mickey. There's just so much they can do with Mickey that I guarantee you he would basically become the next Piranha Plant if he were to ever make it in. Whether it be his ability to use magic, summon his magic paintbrush from Epic Mickey, or force Pluto to fight along his side, you can't deny the fact that Mickey would be a very good choice for Smash. Watch out, Cuphead, but your long-lost brother is coming home very soon. No, not Oswald, Mickey. Up next on this list we have Lightning McQueen from the Cars franchise. In case you guys didn't know, there was a video game based off of the first Cars movie that came out on the Nintendo GameCube, Game Boy Advance, PlayStation 2, and Microsoft Xbox respectively. That doesn't really sound all that shocking, right? Well, wait till you hear this. The video game actually came out a few days before the release of the Cars movie. The game first came out on June 6, 2006, while the movie came out 3 days later on June 9, 2006. Although the movie first premiered at Lloyd Motor Speedway, the movie wouldn't exactly be released to basically everyone until a few weeks later. So technically, one could actually call Lightning McQueen a video game character, if you really want to go that far, you freaking weirdos, since the movie was fully released a few days after the game. That means Mr. McQueen actually has more of a shot than Mickey himself, and much like Mickey, Lightning would also have a huge variety of moves that would make him stand out amongst the Nintendo and third-party cast. Lightning can basically have similar moves to Bowser Jr.'s Clown Car if Sakurai wants to, as that would actually make development on Lightning go a lot faster. He can make him hit the brakes, jump over like a monster truck despite being a car. Hell, he can even let Lightning summon Mater for his recovery if he wants to. Lightning McQueen may just be another Disney rep, but trust me when I say that if Sakurai were to choose another Disney character besides Mickey and Sora, it would be Lightning McQueen. Now these characters are most definitely iconic in the animation industry, and are more than likely to be in Smash if the non-video game character's rule were to ever be broken by Masahiro Sakurai. The Penguins of Madagascar from the Madagascar franchise. Much like Lightning McQueen, the Penguins have also made their first appearance in a video game as the Madagascar game first released on GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox respectively, 3 days before the movie released. Sure, we could get characters like Alex, Marty, Gloria, or Melman, as they are all the main characters of every Madagascar movie, but out of all the characters that get the most popularity, and the spin-offs off, who's more likely to join Smash? The Penguins. Skipper, Private, Kowalski, and Rico. The Penguins are basically 3D cartoon icons, and they have huge potential for a very unique moveset, so adding them as DLC fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate would be a no-brainer. The Penguins may not be as relevant as they used to be, But Sakurai did say that it doesn't really matter if the character is super relevant or not. As long as the character is fun to play as, that's all that really matters. Recognition may somewhat be important-ish, kind of, but it's not the most important thing when it comes to a character's inclusion. The Penguins are extremely powerful secret agents, so there's no doubt that if they were to be included, they would immediately become top tier. And honestly, that sounds very promising. Get your Space Ranger outfit and cowboy boots on, because up next is Woody and Buzz from the Toy Story franchise. I know these are Disney characters yet again, but trust me when I say that they have huge chances of making it into Smash. They appeared on Nintendo platforms, they come from one of the biggest movie franchises in the world, and they have been heavily requested by Smash fans for years now. At this point, they are basically like every other requested character, like Crash Bandicoot, and Doomslayer, and Geno, and Shantae, and Waluigi, and Lloyd, and Monster Hunter. That's how popular Woody and Buzz really are, so they are more than likely than you may think. Woody and Buzz would both have an amazing moveset that would be really unique for Smash. They would basically become the new Zelda and Sheik for Smash Bros. Ultimate, as you would have the ability to switch between Woody and Buzz. Already on paper, the idea of having two characters in one slot sounds incredibly sick, especially when said characters are a cowboy and a space ranger. They would both fit right alongside Mario and pals, and that's what would also make these characters be perfect for Smash. With Toy Story 2 on the PlayStation 1 being considered one of the better 3D Disney video games, who wouldn't want to put these two in? I know that was just on the PS1 and not Nintendo, but come on guys, Joker's in the game, and yet his main game is not even on Nintendo yet. So if he can make it in, why not Woody and Buzz? Here at number 7, we have Dora the Explorer from the Dora franchise, our first ever Nickelodeon character of this entire list. I know that Dora isn't exactly popular with the teen and adult demographic these days, even with the release of the Dora movie that came out almost a year ago. But honestly, I feel like that she still has a really good chance of joining the battle with Mario and friends. Dora is an extremely iconic character that's still around to this day, despite her original series having finished production almost 5 years ago. And out of all the ridiculous Nick Jr. characters, I could definitely see Sakurai or Nintendo choosing Dora for the second Fighter's Pass in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. In the other timeline, of course. Aside from Ness, Olimar, and Banjo-Kazooie, we don't really have enough backpack characters in Smash Ultimate, and I think Dora would fit very well as the new backpack character. And trust me when I say that Smash really needs some backpack characters, and not just some fist or sword fighters. Dora has made multiple appearances on Nintendo platforms, so that gives her even more of a chance of making it in. Although Dora hasn't had any new games recently, and is not as popular as she used to be back in 2000, just remember that Sakurai said this.
Whether or not the character is fun to play as is more important than whether the character is new or old, or whether the character is recognizable to everyone.
Trust me, that clip right there definitely shows that Dora will more than likely be coming to Smash. Dora may just be a preschool cartoon character, but with the amount of items or weapons Dora carries in her backpack, her move's potential is already there. Out of all the Nickelodeon characters, Dora would obviously make the most sense. An iconic cartoon character that's made multiple Nintendo appearances, the potential is right there already. Coming right from the grave themselves, we have Billy and Mandy from Grim and Evil and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Much like Dora the Explorer, Billy and Mandy aren't exactly characters that could be considered relevant nowadays, but remember what Sakurai said about characters being more fun to play as and not recognizable. Sakurai and the development team wouldn't even have to worry about Billy and Mandy not having a creative moveset, because the Billy and Mandy video game came out on the Nintendo GameCube, Wii, Game Boy Advance, and PlayStation 2 respectively, and it was actually a fighting game. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It was a fighting game that was similar in style to games like Power Stone and Shrek's Super Slam. Sakurai would just take their moves from the game and they would become very easy additions to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The video game may not have premiered before the release of the show, but the show is very iconic in the Cartoon Network fanbase, and even though the show ended 11 years ago, the show itself is still very popular to this day. So much like Dora, Billy and Mandy would basically become no-brainers. It's time for them to feel the need to bleed. Coming straight from the island of Sodor, we have Thomas the Tank Engine from the Thomas franchise. Despite being a friendly little train, Thomas would absolutely fit right alongside characters like Mario, Snake, Bayonetta, Joker, and Byleth. Even though he may just be a talking train, I feel that Sakurai and the development team would make a very creative moveset for our creepy looking train here. They can make Thomas run into Mario in a similar fashion to Bowser Jr.'s clown car, and probably have Cole come out of Thomas himself as little projectiles. Hell, if Sakurai wants, he can even let the fat controller be the one to control Thomas, much like how Bowser Jr. controls the clown car. There's so much they can do with Thomas that he'd be an extremely unique fighter for Smash. Thomas has also made multiple appearances on Nintendo platforms, even on the Super Nintendo of all things, so the Nintendo history is there. With how popular Thomas the Tank Engine is these days, I can see Thomas get into Smash before Lightning McQueen, as Cars has kind of become an infamous franchise these days, so out of all the quote-unquote vehicle characters, I would see Sakurai choosing Thomas as the next fighter. Okay, now let's take a look at Dracula history outside of Castlevania. We have Jonathan Harker from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, out of all the fourth-party characters, why do I feel like he has more of a chance than someone who's more iconic like Thomas the Tank Engine? Well, it's simple actually. We have Bram Stoker's Dracula representation in Smash in the form of Castlevania. Not only was Dracula a book character first, he also made multiple appearances in various Dracula movies before he became an iconic video game villain in the form of Castlevania. We have Simon and Richter in the games as original characters in the Dracula universe, but not exactly the main character from the Dracula movies, which is why I feel that Jonathan Harker has a huge chance of making it in. Having only the two Belmonts in the game feels extremely out of place without the main character of Dracula himself joining the battle. And since Sakurai loves to go all out with video game representation, I can see him include Mr. Harker. Because of the recent popularity of Keanu Reeves, thanks to the upcoming game Cyberpunk 2077, it's more than likely that Sakurai would use the 1992 version of Mr. Harker, as he was also played by Keanu Reeves himself. The best part is, Cyberpunk technically isn't the only time Keanu Reeves has made a video game appearance, as Bill and Ted had so many video games based off of their movies, especially Bram Stoker's Dracula. The game came out 1 year after the release of the movie, but the game did show us how Mr. Harker would play like if he were to be in Smash, as he would use a small sword to fight alongside other sword users like Cloud and Byleth. In order to complete the Dracula universe, Sakurai would have to dig deep into the lore and definitely include Mr. Harker.
It's best to stay away from magical music boxes because here comes Anne and Sprig from the recent Disney Channel cartoon Amphibia. Now these are very interesting characters, as similar to characters like 2B and Monokuma, they never had a mainline game on Nintendo platforms at all, but unlike 2B and Monokuma, they did not make cameo appearances in any games on Nintendo consoles, and they're obviously not video game characters. So out of all the Disney characters that I can see making it into Smash, why do I think Anne and Sprig are more likely than characters like Lightning McQueen, Woody, and Buzz Lightyear? Well, simply put, it's because of the latest episode of Amphibia. Well, just let me explain. In the final episode of the first season, Reunion, 4 iconic Nintendo characters can be seen in the background, which are Ness, Paula, Jeff, and Pooh from the cult classic RPG Earthbound for the Super Nintendo. Even though the episode was about Anne reuniting with her best friend Sasha, the production team behind the show made sure to make the cameos very obvious for the viewers to see. This could suggest that Nintendo really didn't care about the 4Kids' inclusion into the show, and it's more than likely that Ann and Sprig will get into Smash because of that. Technically, this can't be considered a Nintendo connection since Ness and the gang are in the show. This isn't the only time Nintendo had their characters be in a Disney show or movie, as Bowser from the Mario franchise made cameo appearances in the video game-based movie Wreck-It Ralph. Amphibia also made a reference to the Sega Dreamcast, as it can be seen in the store where Ant got the magical music box from. And not only that, there are a few Amphibia games on the Disney Channel website, so they count as video game appearances. The video game connection is there. The human and frog duo can work in a similar manner to characters like the Ice Climbers, Duck Hunt, or Banjo and Kazooie. And we absolutely need more duo characters, as the roster would not be diverse enough for a game where Nintendo All-Stars are beating the living shit out of video game icons. I'm personally a big fan of the show, so I'm probably a bit biased with this pick, but I really do think these two characters are more likely than people may think. Also, for the love of God, the wait for Amphibia Season 2 is too much, please make it stop. This weird little cat knows a lot about that. It's the Cat in the Hat from the Dr. Seuss franchise. As sad as it may sound, the Cat in the Hat is more than likely to join Smash in just a pound. That's because the Cat in the Hat is a huge book icon all over the world, in case you have been living under a terrible con, and has been requested by a majority of the preschool population to join the Super Smash Bros. Family since Smash 64. So it would really be a no-brainer to include this powerful rat of a cat, and Sakurai had included characters that seemed very obvious to join the roster before. Some people might think the cat doesn't have a chance at all because he isn't a fighter, and he can't even use dangerous weapons like a lance. Well, I mean, look at characters like Captain Falcon, Duck Hunt, Rosalina, and Piranha Plant. They don't usually fight in their games. Well, if you don't count the plants biting with their teeth in the Mario games as fighting, which I kinda don't. So, if they can still be playable in Smash, so can the Cat in the Hat. He can be an extremely unique fighter for Smash, as he usually uses an umbrella in the Cat in the Hat books, so he would basically be an umbrella user, something that isn't represented in Smash at all. With all the amount of fist, foot, and sword users that are in the current roster for Smash, we really need an umbrella user to make the roster more diverse, even for just a simple clash. The Cat in the Hat also made Nintendo appearances, so for all the Nintendo consoles believers, myself included, despite me hating that fan rule sometimes, he's off the hook. Believe me when I say that you're better off not underestimating this creepy cat. Now, before we get to number 1, I would like to talk about a few honorable mentions, so let's go. Kusuo Saiki from The Disastrous Life of Saiki K. Truth to be told, Saiki is actually my favorite anime and my favorite show of all time, so even if Saiki wasn't a part of the list, I might still be a bit biased just talking about him in the honorable mentions alone. Saiki as a character would absolutely fit right alongside characters like Snake and Joker, and he would basically be a fourth party version of my boy Raz from Psychonauts, but with his personality being the main difference, of course. Much like Joker before the release of Persona 5 Scramble, Saiki has also made one appearance on a Nintendo platform, coincidentally on the Nintendo 3DS. Saiki has made multiple video game appearances, but these games were on PlayStation and not Nintendo. But because he's an anime character and apparently people hate Japanese characters in a Japanese fighting game franchise, he's just not as likely to make it in. SpongeBob SquarePants. Much like Mickey Mouse, SpongeBob is also a huge cartoon icon and has made multiple appearances on Nintendo platforms, but I'm afraid he's not as likely as Mickey Mouse, because of the one deleted scene in the SpongeBob episode Procrastination, where Sandy looks like some freaking dead squirrel or something while Patrick started rubbing her with sunscreen. Despite the fact that the show takes place underwater, but I digress, it's just a cartoon. That's just way too inappropriate for even Sakurai to include. Way more extreme than characters like Bayonetta and Joker. Smash is for good boys and girls after all, so I just don't see SpongeBob making the cut. Shane and David from the Upside Down Show. Out of the other two characters, I say these two have more of a chance to join Smash. Much like Psyche and SpongeBob, Shane and David did make video game appearances via PC educational games on the original Noggin website. But what makes them more likely is that they actually have a Nintendo connection that people aren't aware of. In the PC game, the Schmancy Smash Up game, the main objective is to draw any object you want for Shane and David to interact with. Or in other words, draw random things and they get to appear in a clip from the actual show. The possibilities of what you can put in are endless. Well, kind of, as the drawing controls are actually very stiff, even for a computer game, and no matter how small the paintbrush you're using is, it's still way too damn big to even properly draw something you're supposed to draw. But once you get the hang of it, you can actually have characters like Mario, Pikachu, Pac-Man, Sonic, Bayonetta, Joker, any character from the Smash Bros. Roster be a part of the Upside Down Show clips. So unlike Psyche and SpongeBob, where they only appeared on Nintendo platforms, Shane and David have technically crossed over with Nintendo before, just by drawings. They would have replaced Ann and Sprig for the number 3 spot, but because the Upside Down Show is way too obscure compared to the likes of Amphibia and Dora the Explorer, I just don't see Shane and David making it in, sadly. Bobby from Bobby's World. This is yet another obscure character, but unlike Shane and David, he actually had an appearance on a Nintendo platform, instead of just having a computer game on some random website. The Bobby's World video game was actually released a few years after the show, so he may not be as likely as the Penguins or Thomas the Tank Engine. But who really knows? Sakurai has stated before that he's more interested in the character's playstyle, and popularity doesn't really matter to him. So we could possibly see Bobby make it into the game. Bobby would have a huge variety of moves, with his main weapon being his huge imagination. And really, if Sakurai wants, he can let Bobby summon his Uncle Ted and have him be the sacrifice to make sure his nephew stays safe. For now, I'm just not sure about Bobby's chances. And finally, Goku and Shrek. Come on, do I really need to say anything? I'll just move on. Now with that out of the way, the number 1 character that is more than likely to join Smash is Austin Powers from the Austin Powers movies. Mr. Powers has a really huge chance of making it into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate if you really think about it. He has 2 appearances on Nintendo platforms. He has a huge variety of moves that Sakurai can easily take from the Austin Powers movies, and is played by Shrek himself, aka Mike Myers. Shrek could technically be more likely to join Smash than Mr. Powers, since he had more Nintendo appearances and has more fan requests, but Austin Powers will absolutely get in before Shrek. Why do I say this? Because Mr. Powers has the ability to make everyone be thirsty for some Mike Myers ass, including Sakurai himself. Everyone wants to be all over Mr. Powers, including Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise. They only appeared in the 3rd movie, but it still shows that Austin Powers can attract basically everyone in the entire world, including the higher-ups at Nintendo. Austin Powers has saved millions of lives over the past 5 decades from the dangers of Dr. Evil and Mini-Me, so it's a huge no-brainer that he will join Smash because of his amazing accomplishments. He's super groovy, baby. He makes everyone horny, especially Mario and the gang, and he's just a really kick-ass secret agent. Sakurai would give Mr. Powers any type of moves he wants. He can even let Mr. Powers be an Echo Fighter of Captain Falcon for all he cares, and he'll still become the most played character in the history of Smash. Nintendo will make more money than Sony and Microsoft combined once Austin Powers gets in, and there's no way in hell that they will ever ignore such an opportunity, and that is why Austin Powers is the number one most likely character to join Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Whew. Well, that's all the fighters that I think are likely to join Smash. I hope you guys enjoyed this list and are excited for these fighters to come out in the next Fighters Pass. Until then, this is PitRocks signing out. And, you know what? How about we end it with some bloopers? Yeah, let's do it.
Up next on this list, we have Lightning McQueen from the Cars franchise. In case you guys didn't know, there was a video game based off of the Cars movie that came out. Oh my god, this is so fucking stupid. I can't. Now, these characters are most definitely iconic in the animation industry and are more than likely to be in Smash if the non-video game characters rule would ever be broken. The Penguins of Madagascar from the Madagascar franchise. Much like Lightning McQueen, the Penguins have also made their first appearance. Oh my god, I fucked that one up. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Trust me, that clip right there definitely shows that Dora will more than likely be coming to Smash. Dora may just be a preschool cartoon character, but with the amount of items or weapons Dora carries in her backpack, her moves potential.
Shane and David from the Upside Down Show. Out of the other two characters, I say these two have more of a chance to join Smash. Much like Psyche and SpongeBob, Shane and David did make video game appearances. No. 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 Yo, I can't. This is so fucking stupid. I mean, my god. The fact that there are some people out there that actually make up stupid fan rules like this, especially for characters like Goku, is just why? I mean, come on. It just, oh my god. Oh my